that I think about it. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right. So now that I've spent basically 5 minutes talking about anything and everything, let me rephrase this. I am here doing a hangout for a member, a commenter on Strike's movie night. Goes by the name Resist the Flat Earth 17. Who's expressed to me that they want to join the military. They were thinking about joining the Navy and or the Marine, well, not and or, the Navy or the Marine Corps um, to go out and fight for their country. And they asked for my input, and I thought I would offer, but when he was asking this question, or she, I don't even know whether he or she, um, not that it matters as far as the jobs in the military go, but the point I'm trying to get at is that the point I am trying to get to on this is that I lost my train of thought here because I'm trying to clear out my viewers on here so I know when somebody legitimately is showing up to watch me. All right. So, if you're out there, you have questions about the military, feel free to ask me. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I'm going to be working on homework, which has to do with the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and how the government and domestic policies were shaped by those and whatnot. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be making my discussion question on, which is one of the homework items I have. So, by all means, feel free to ask any questions that you have if you're out there watching. I'm currently showing it 0 viewers because the one viewer was myself. So, excuse me. All right. Let's see. Interesting. Okay. What was that? Pull you back up. So, discussion questions 5-2-1 and 6-1-1. Discussion research plan. For your initial post, organize your revised research questions, current thesis statement, and an outline or checklist of your plan for conducting further research on your topic into a new discussion post. In a few paragraphs, discuss what relevant sources you have identified and the process for assessing those sources. Next week, you will be prompted to respond to 2 of your peers' initial posts. When responding to your peers, critique their plan and offer suggestions for thinking like a historian. Does their plan suggest that they are thinking about change over time, context, causality, complexity, or contingency? Note, this discussion spans 2 weeks and is graded at the end of Module 6, Week 6. And your first post is due in Module 5, your 2 follow-ups are due in Module 6, blah, blah, blah. And so, going back to an assignment that hasn't been graded yet, which sucks for me, I have to figure out what it is I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I want to make sure I'm understanding my answers correctly. But what the heck? Why don't I show you? I want to share my screen for a minute. These are my current. This is my current grade. And it's only because on a couple quizzes I haven't gone back to fix the one answer I missed. So not too bad. Getting started. Ooh, I told people about myself. Quiz. Your response was fine, fulfilled, blah, blah, blah. And yeah. Anyways. getting into the meat of my worksheets, the actual topic that helps form my thoughts is your discussion of what you already knew is good, blah blah blah. Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm working on. Is just working on some projects. Ooh, and I also have a historical context chart to work on. All right, so start a new thread. Days. Search plan. Insert ominous music here. I forgot to pull my chat back up here. Hold on. So, like I said, any questions about anything? I mean, I'm literally open to talk about anything. Politics, military, games, football. The preseason started this last Thursday with the NFL's Hall of Fame game, which is weird because they usually did it today, the day after the enshrinement, but I think they had so many people leave after the enshrinement that it's hard to book tickets. So, hey, make it a big old thing and have everybody come in early. I don't know. Okay, so let's just look at. All right, I do need to increase the brightness a little bit. So what I'm going to is the assignment that I haven't gotten graded yet, so I don't know how good it is, but it's where my revised discussion questions are coming in and helping revise my thesis. And it was just a short answer. So after receiving feedback on my topic exploration worksheet, I reviewed my questions and the sources that I provided. My first question was, quote, what was the purpose of the war? What was the purpose of the post-war government's use of nuclear weapons, power, etc., in that it allowed for the growth of a superpower? End quote. This question I'm revising to what is the United States government's role in nuclear proliferation in its growth as a superpower? It's basically the same question, but what I'm going with is specifically, what does it do for me? So go back here. Which is really stupid. I could just pretty much copy and paste this whole topic right into there, but whatever. This revision looks into the decision not to just use the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but the decisions into missile development for defense using using the primary resources. I have set primary and secondary resources. I are not resources, secondary and primary sources. Primary sources, which are those from actual people who were involved in the event, and secondary sources from those that weren't directly involved, like news, etc., and historians. And then tertiary are the people who have read those secondary sources and primary sources and come up with a new interpretation, basically. So this revision looks into the decisions from using the same primary sources. I dug a little deeper into the atomic archives. That shows the Brock plan, Baruch. Don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. A little tired, so I don't care. The speech was given in the United Nations in 1946. The speech talks about how we realize that a natural secret has the potential to kill the planet, but at the same time offers plenty of power. And I'm looking into the missile development for defense, specifically the government's role of developing from dropping bombs via planes to developing, short-range tactical weapons to mid-range tactical weapons to ICBMs and SLBMs, submarine launched ballistic missiles, which I actually happen to have some potentially firsthand experience on a system that uses SLBMs. So, yeah, which is why I'm not going with the military side of this. I had the option for the military side, but I'm like, no, I know enough about that. I don't need to. So, let's work on my discussion question now. Excuse me. All right. Wonder if I can actually get to. Oh, they went for a long time on movie night. Holy cow. Pause the ad. Let's go with. Oh, that ain't gonna work. Let's cut. Cancel that. Make this plus. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't have a G Plus account, so that doesn't help. Oh, did not know that, Si. Sorry. Getting off on a tangent, trying to find the kid that wanted to have his questions answered. So I'll put my contact information in here for him to come ask questions if I don't get some sort of viewership soon. So no big deal. All right, back to my research plan. Hello, class. You guys actually be interested in seeing what I'm typing? Probably not. I mean, I'm not even interested in typing it. The joys of online schooling is that you don't get a direct, I don't want to say direct interaction. You don't get instant, um, you don't get instant feedback on how you're phrasing your ideas. It can take a few hours to a few days, which kind of sucks. But I do find that the few classes I have done in person versus the classes I do online, it allows people to stop and think about what you're saying and not use their gut reaction. And also allows me to stop and think. I mean, there have been times I've written, like screenful responses to people. And I'm just like, wait, they're not doing that. They're doing this in their discussion. And it's rather interesting. So anyways. All right. So hello class. I have revised my first question from. I'm just going to take it direct here. Oh. Cut and paste. copy and paste. Actually, I don't want to cut it out of the document I'm using. From what is my font here? You're not going to give me the font. You punk. All right, so yeah, paragraph font. Is it called? No. Although, let's go to Time New Rollins. I don't think that's quite it. See, I don't know what these. Is that what that is? Arial. Okay. Let's go up to Arial. A little bit too big, so we're at size 4. There we go. I know it's bored to just watch me do my homework and sitting here. But until my guest of honor shows up in the live chat and or asks for, either starts asking questions or decides to do a ask to join the hangout, not much I can do. All right. 2. Control copy. Control paste. Oh, stop it. I hit the wrong button. Sue me. All right. Changes to this. Are to fold. First, to focus. Government policy of missile defense. Yes, in the US, we spell it with an S. Get off my back. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm just bored. I'm going to share my screen with you. You can watch as I type away. I think that's fun, don't you? I don't. I don't necessarily think it's that fun either, but we shall work on it. And second is the creation of nuclear power. Second question was did I even change that one? The one thing about the whole Cold War and um, One thing about the whole Cold War that I've always found fascinating is how close we were to losing our freedom of speech. And what I mean by that is the Red Scare that Senator McCarthy used, what's known as McCarthyism. And we're seeing a resurgence of that now in society right now with the newspeak that the social justice movements want you to use, with limiting the words you can use. And it's just instead of being conservatives attacking the liberal side, it's now the liberal side attacking the conservatives. Just a little food for thought. So, I like a neat presentation. And I am revising it to. I'm going to hide that. Nice and sweet. Copy and paste. Right. Point 4. There we go. The change is to allow for a clear stated thought on how mystically we allowed ourselves be gagged. Caged, gagged. All right. Now, I don't think I even have a current thesis statement. I need to go pull up my. Where is it? It's right here. Topic worksheet. Do I have that? Sorry, I'm not hopping between windows. I'm not letting my display be showed. Just because I don't want to inadvertently show my thing. I write a short paragraph about what you are now. I choose government domestic policies as the weakest subject I know. As a veteran of the U.S. Navy submarine fleet, I know the military strategy of using the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the international relations in Japanese and American civilians was tenuous at best during the early years of occupation. And da 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 da. Sorry, I'm just looking at my topic exploration worksheet to see if I put a thesis in here, which I think I just did questions. All right, yeah, that's just not what I'm looking for. So I don't think I actually put a strong thesis. So let's go back here. Don't worry, guys. I'm still keeping an eye on the chat, waiting for you. Let's go to have I done? No, I have not done a thesis. Well, that's stupid. So what is my thesis statement then? All right. Well, welcome to how to cram for a thesis statement. How to make a thesis statement on nothing. All right. So, combining the two questions to make one coherent thesis statement. Well, let's brainstorm. All right. All right. So, I've changed it to what is the government's role in the U.S. government's role in nuclear proliferation in its growth as a superpower. I don't like that comma there. Maybe if I added E dot A in its growth as a global superpower. Because we as a society, the United States, obviously introduced the nuclear age. We introduced the nuclear arms age, which isn't in and of itself a bad thing at all. It's it was a tool that was used possibly ill-advised at the time, possibly not. I mean, only time is going to tell. Um, there's information that we don't have access to yet that could enlighten us some more. And as that information becomes available, historians will be able to make better judgments. Anyways, that's the point I contend with, anyways, or that's the point I go with, anyways. So, but we promoted the continuation of nuclear weapons to include, again, short range, mid range, tactical nuclear weapons. I mean, hell, that's what sparked off the whole Cuban Missile Crisis. Is the missiles we had in Turkey? I think those were the mid range ones. So the Russians did the same thing. They put theirs in Cuba. Um, so whatever, it is what it is. Um, and then my second question is how the Red Scare was used to condemn people. And one of the most famous couples that was Red Scare was used was um, Frank and Ethel Rosenberg, but you also had Senator McCarthy going after Hollywood actors, producers, directors, uh, studio owners, things like that, to um, basically try to silence them for their dissent against the way the government was handling the reaction to communist Russia, the USSR, the United Soviet Social Soviet States, United Soviet Socialist Republics. Yeah, that's what it is. United Soviet Socialist Republics. Yeah. So, all right. So, how can I combine these into a thesis? Brainstorming. By the way, I don't ever recommend putting this off till the last minute. So, uh, uh, sorry, I'm just taking a look at things. Content marketing on Pinterest. Ooh. All right. So, ooh, Logitech is buying blue mics. Ooh, that's interesting. But that's neither here nor there. That might actually be a topic of discussion. Anyways, thesis statement. What's the point of my paper going to be? That's really what boils down to. Uh, Current thesis is. I know you can't see me typing it, but it. All right. And you know what? I'm going to quote it. In aftermath of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the United States government, oh, little g this time, implemented several policies, little pj, little p, policies that were intended for the defense. And again, we use an S here in the US, so get over it. All right. We're intended for the defense of our democratic republic. That's a decent starting thesis. I may come back and change it later. All right, what was the other? Oh, too far, too far. And an outline or checklist of your plans to conduct further research on the topic. I'm not going to cite the sources. I should cite the sources. That's not to say that it is, but we are all using the same source list. All right, let's see here. Plan. I just plan not look right to me. That's how tired I am. My, I can't even read and speak in a right plain English right now. The plan. Uh, oh god damn. Plan on reviewing several primary interview. Let's see, there were transcripts. Do I have it here? Yeah, research kit. There we go. And what the heck is that? Yeah. All right. So science, government, atomic archives. Yeah, that's transcripts of it. Oh, select tool. Thank you. Oh, I want to go to the page. You, sir, are annoying. Thank you. Surprised it didn't open twice. All right. So historical documents and reports will be testimony in the matter of J. Robert Oppenheimer. And as you can see here, at the height of McCarthyism, Oppenheimer's politics during the 1930s came under scrutiny and ultimately led to his undoing at the hands of the Atomic Energy Commission in 1953. He asked for a security hearing to review the charges which went on for 4 weeks and heard testimony from 40 witnesses. And so we will copy that. I guess I'll cite my sources from. Transcripts. Why can I not spell it and it's right in front of me? Oppenheimer Affair. And go to any views, any comments in the chat? Nothing yet. Oh well. I wasn't trying to go there, but whatever. Oh. What? Did I see that right? Oh. Thought I saw somebody else. All right. All right. Whatever. All right. All right. And let's go back to the Oppenheimer affair. Back out. Missile defense. Ooh, even better. Arms control and nuclear proliferation. Copy. And for proliferation. Yeah, so sue me. All right. Culture is a wonderful thing, kids. Don't leave home without it. All right. While these are two of my newest sources, excuse me, primary side. Also plan on using to PDF document. Uh, unfortunately, my secondary sources are all about the decision to drop the bomb and not actual hardcore information. So we shall go with copy. Hiroshima. Start it. Miles article. And to discuss how we used Hobbes has a reason. Let's spell it a reason to save American, British, Japanese lives long drawn out and invasion holiday of the Japanese home. All right. So, because when you think about it, if you ever get a chance to read these documents, some of which you won't be able to without a login to Southern New Hampshire University, unfortunately. But if you ever get the chance to read any of these articles, it's actually worth looking into because I honestly just I truly enjoy history. I love studying it, and I love hearing multiple sides of an event and multiple perspectives of an event because history can teach us so much, but we can also be blinded to too much history as well. You know, it's easy for me to sit here and say in 2018 that, Nazis and fascism are bad, blah blah blah, but it's oh, it's not so, how do I want to put it? But it's not hard to lose content, but it's not too hard to lose the context in how they came to power if you don't actively study it. The thing with the social justice movement, the thing with the progressive left movement of seeing Nazis and fascists everywhere blinds them to the fact that they're not seeing the same clues. They're making clues fit holes in order for them to have their narrative. And that's my opinion. That's, you know, take it for what it's worth. That is just my opinion. But at the same time, it is what it is. So that's all I can really discuss about. Now going into posting my discussion question. I am now 5 of 9 topics done. All right. Just 3 articles from your selected. 0. As you read through, you consider the 3 main questions. What's the argument? Short making the thesis statement. What's the sources? Why are your sources? Why is your sources authors? Okay, sorry. I'm reading my next assignment, and it is one of my pet peeves about people who don't study history on a regular basis. You know, for as much as I love math, well, I don't love math really. I'm interested by math, but for as much as I love to talk about science, physics, um, things like that, I don't have the capacity. I don't have the knowledge level that some people that I discuss things to hang out with here on YouTube on a regular basis do. That's not to say I'm stupid. It's not to say that I'm dumb. It's just I know where my strengths lie. I know where my strength of knowledge is. Now, when it comes to discussing history, it can be a little more nuanced in my opinion on some things. I mean, we talk about the Eratosthenes experiment in dealing with the flat Earth and how the Eratosthenes experiment proves the sun is a far away, distant object. Because if you measure, and maybe I'll try to link Sly's experiment on this. Sly Spark Game made a great video about this and going after Antonio Subirats, which no, I have no ill will towards Antonio. I have no ill will towards any of the flat earthers until they decide to attack me. Then the gloves are off. But or they attack something that I hold near and dear. But the point I'm trying to make here, I guess, is that we try to judge things historically from our own perspective too often, our own values too often. A lot of what happened last summer with the taking down of Confederate statues that were there to honor Confederate soldiers and generals, were taken down because we try to apply our values of right and wrong and slavery, and those were bad men defending slavery, which is a partial truth. The South didn't have the economic might to withstand a change of their economic system and to change how they went about doing things. It's not to say that they were right in seceding from the Union for it. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that we are now applying our historical knowledge in the context of our system of values to those men, which is unfair to them, which is unfair to many people. People often talk about the big switch in history dealing with the Civil War, more commonly known to as the Democrats were racist. The Democrats are racist, and they've just been hiding themselves, blah, 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 blah. And only now they're, instead of going after the non-whites, they're going after the whites. That's a half-truth, in my opinion. Again, this is from my own personal studies of history and the topic of slavery and racism, the Jim Crow era, all the segregation and everything. When I talk about the big switch, what I'm talking about between the Democrats and the Republicans of the 1860s to the current day Republicans and Republicans we have is the fact that they switched from not being racist or not, is to being conservative or ideologically being conservative versus progressive or liberal. Now, both parties, for the most part, have always been about the liberties of the people, as defined under the Constitution. However, it wasn't until after the KKK rose to huge power politically and then kind of cut themselves down at the knees that we started to have the switch, that we started to get the true switch of the Democrats becoming more progressive, trying to get better social outcomes, mainly for white people. I will concede that quite easily. But they were moving on to raising up the poor. And eventually that sparked into the civil rights movement. Now, the civil rights movement had people from both sides of the political spectrum. But it doesn't mean that the switch didn't happen, because basically by the time you get to the FDR and the New Deal, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and the New Deal in the 1930s to help save us from the Great Depression, or to try and help alleviate the Great Depression, we have a lot of progressive policies put in place. And it all started with his cousin Teddy Roosevelt, that we started getting a lot of the progressive movement. And that is the big switch I talk about. Yet when I try to discuss this with Republicans, they seem to think that they are the good and virtuous people of that were at the start of Lincoln's era. And I'm like, no, not entirely. I mean, people like to bring up that Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation ending slavery, and it's like, no, that's not exactly what that did. It ended it in the South and the states that ceded, and he didn't technically have the authority because the British did recognize the CSA as its own sovereign country, even though they didn't outwardly acknowledge it. They had their ways, and it is what it is. It's up for debate whether he had the actual authority or not. I stand in the camp that he didn't, but I acknowledge what it was that he did. So, all right. So what am I supposed to do? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna open this in a new tab. Yay! A new Word document. Anyways, that's just kind of my thing. Hey, we got a new viewer. Who's watching? Come say hi in the chat. Hey, I've been waiting for you. I don't even know how long this stream's been going on. I've just been working on some homework while waiting for you. All right, let's go with enable editing. And so go ahead and ask away your questions, or if you have, no worries. Like I said, I was doing homework and I realized I was going to get bogged down and probably wouldn't have started this till, whatever time it is your time. I'm on the Pacific coast, but you could have easily been anywhere from 9 to midnight. So I figured might as well get this going and I can just work on homework while I'm doing it. All right, let's do. All right. Alrighty. So, what questions do you have for me? Or if you have a mic, I'd be more than willing to let you have a link and we can come in and discuss your questions if you want. Okay. The best, I would say the best job for that would be Master at Arms. They are the police force of the Navy. I don't know the specific requirements. If you give me just a second here, one of your best sources will be Navy.com. And let's see if I can find careers. Stupid thing. Let's see. Careers. That's what I'm looking for. Here, I'll even share my screen so you can see what I'm doing here, man. All right. Share. I'm going to see if I can find. They don't always show everything. EOD, if you wanted to get into the bomb squads, why are you highlighting all of a sudden? There we go. Information system technologies, medical careers, medical support. Okay. Well, let's go with Master at Arms. Oh, you do too. See, this They have officers. Yeah. All right, let's go with interest. They don't always have cyber IT, health, law and management. There we go. View. All right. Like I said, EOD would be fun. That's the bomb squads, things like that. Attorney and legal support. These are your LAs. Um, you don't want JAG. Legal man. Yeah, we don't want that. I think Master at Arms has an actual has a requirement that you have to be in for so long, or you have to be a certain rank to do this. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Emergency fire rescue crews. This is your damage control. This is like firefighters. Let's see if they have it. All right. This is. Yeah, this is fire. That's not exactly what you're looking for. No, Navy has EOD. They even have underwater demolitions, which is the various, which is kind of the start of the SEAL program, actually. Let's go back. Law and management. View. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Law enforcement. Here we go. Security professionals in the United States Army are known as Master at Arms. Here, let me shoot you this link. And I'll go back and get you the EOD link as well, by the way. So here you go. As you can see, provide security, physical protection for service members. And just to let you know, you are shore patrol, so you will probably end up having to bust up a few parties, and people are going to hate you for it. But so, upon completing the 7 to 9 week recruit training known as boot camp, those pursuing law enforcement and security role will report to San Antonio, Texas, where they will receive formal naval educational Navy technical training known as A School. For about 9 weeks, here they learn about anti-terrorism techniques, armed sentry post standing techniques, crime prevention, and eventually you can use this all to get a degree to become like detectives as well as beat cops, etc. Um, Service members opportunity college degree network system, that's new to me. The Navy College program and tuition assistance. I actually signed up for the college program and the uh, GI Bill when I was in. It's now the post 9/11 GI Bill. Let's see. Qualifications are that you have a high school diploma or equivalent to become an enlisted sailor. However, um, the equivalent is usually a GED, and I don't know if they're accepting those anymore. The services kind of cut back on that, especially post 9/11. Um, so there's a link for the law enforcement. Let's see if I can go back and find the EOD. Uh, duh, duh, duh. All right. Navy diver is always a good one. There we go. High demand. Ooh. Here is copy. Here is paste. Now, if you have any interest in the fire side of things, damage control would be the way you'd want to go here, as well as EMT would be like your corpsman. Let's see. Come on. If you've heard me and Jared, no, Navy divers are not the exact same, or not practically the same as SEALs. Uh, Navy divers deal more with like underwater welding. They can also help with underwater construction, as well as underwater explosives (EOD). Um, Here, I'll give you copy. And if you know anybody who is a veteran, um, when you go to talk to a recruiter, have them come with you, especially if you're thinking about signing up that day. They'll be able to help you spot fishy, pardon the pun there, fishy tactics about recruiting. This is the field I was in, actually, submarine electronics. Specifically, ET Nav. That's what I did, and it was pretty fun. Great job opportunities when you get out, if you are of a technical mind. Let's see here. A little more. Yep. See what else do we got here. Flight support careers. This is more, I think, along the lines of what Jared did. I think. Jared did a lot of electronics work too, so, but I don't know how much of this is his. These are maintenance schools. The closest you're going to get to that is actually going to be the nuke program. And let me see if I can get Jared in here on this. Just a second. Just a second. I'm getting Jared the link to everything. Copy. All right. Excuse me. So yeah, the nuclear field. I gotta go back and load through here. Nuke program. Where is the nuke program? Is after this, right? All right. So there are a couple things that the nuke program has to offer. There is the enlisted side, where you learn a particular function of work around the nuclear reactor, or there's the officer program. Now, the officer program, let's see here. Let's see here. Do they list the officer program? No, they do not. Qualifications, though. I know they don't have it for. All right. So for the officer program, the hey, you there, Jared?
I am here.
Okay. I know your dad was a nuke, so that's kind of why I was like, oh, let's bring Jared in. And let me give you the link for the chat too here really quick. All right.
All right, there we go. Now I won't kill you with feedback. I put my headphones in.
There's a link for the pop-out chat.
Okay. Which you have impeccable timing. I actually just finished eating dinner finally.
Yeah. Well, to give you some background on all this. Resist the Flat Earth has asked me questions last night in Cystrix movie night about joining the Navy, possibly the Marines. And I promised to do a live stream. And since I didn't have a way of getting a hold of Resist, I was just like, oh, I'll just get on and talk about my homework until then. So the first half of this is literally me talking about history, about the nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Okay. Well, I'm actually looking at the chat now and going back up backwards. Did you address the diver question?
I did not, but I did provide I did. The divers aren't exactly the Navy SEALs. They tend to deal more with like underwater explosives and construction as well as salvage.
Well, yeah. Your Navy diver is an addition to other things. Yes, your SEALs are going to be rated divers as well, but because they have the Trident, they don't get the diver pin and certification as well. But your actual Navy divers, it's EOD that does the same. Underwater demolitions. It's part of BUDS. When you go through that, it's no longer SEAL training and then EOD training. They are a combined training path.
Yeah.
For the most part. And the last little bit is different because SEALs do more than the EOD does, but it's BUDS training. It's basic underwater demolitions. Right. That is the first step. And so, Resist, I actually did go through the training to be a career counselor, but because I left in the manner that I did is why I never actually got the badge or held the position of one. Oh, yeah.
Probably a wise choice.
Yeah. Oh, and yes, BUDS is fucking brutal. It's done out on Coronado Island in off of San Diego. You play in the surf a fuck ton. It doesn't matter the temperature, doesn't matter time of the year. You are going to be in the water, you are going to be in the sand, and you will learn to love it or you are going to drop out. They have a failure rate of close to 70%.
Yep.
And the best thing that I've heard is, and it was actually from a long-time SEALs, is that a lot of what you do for training-wise, especially the physical side of it, when you think you've hit your wall, you're actually only at about 40% of your capability. It's actually mental blocks that stop you.
Exactly.
So going into any military branch, understand basic training. While yes, you are learning things that are going to be crucial to the longevity of your career in the sense that it is setting the foundation. But aside from that, it is a huge mental game to see who can or cannot hack it.
And the same is true of, just even basic strikers, undesignated personnel in the Navy. They're sent to some of the worst jobs in the military, and they're toyed with until they decide what they want to do. I mean, take a look at Thrive and Survive. He was undesignated and decided to become a air graphicer's mate. I had a guy on my boat. Boats are what we call submarines. I had a guy on our boat that wanted to become a corpsman. He finally decided to do that. He got a shadow dock for 2.5 patrols. Didn't have to do squat. I hated him for it.
Well, that's the thing, is if you are considering Navy, there is a wonderful saying. Sorry for the noise. I'm closing up the bag of chips.
What kind of chips?
Doritos.
Oh, okay.
The nacho, not Cool Ranch.
Fuck, yeah, because you're not cool enough to have Cool Ranch, right?
I never liked the taste of them. Never. But when it comes to the Navy, there's a beautiful saying to remember. Choose your rate, choose your fate. If you have even a passing interest in a certain area, try to talk to people who are in or have been in those fields. I know a lot about the nuke powertrain and that side of things on the subsurface side because my dad retired as an E8 after 23 years in.
What was his rate specifically?
He was an MM.
Oh, so this one I'm circling right here.
Yep. Yep. But because he was a chief for the entirety of my life when he was in, he actually pinned on chief that September right before I was born.
That's cool.
He had to deal with all three because he ended up being an LCPO of one of the divisions. And at that point, they don't really keep you in your rate at that point specifically.
Oh, I know. That's when they were starting to form the department enlisted advisors and all that stuff, probably.
Yep, it was early 80s.
Now, one of the cool things the Navy has as part of their, not just their ROTC program, but just any college program, you could actually go to school in college and not actually be a part of the ROTC program. I think it's called the Navy, what is it? The Navy Power College Program or something like that. It's NPPC or something like that, where they basically, you go to school to become an engineer of any sort, structural, electrical, mechanical, anything like that. The base requirements are that you have to take at least, one full year's worth of calculus-based physics, as well as one full year of calculus. I was looking into becoming a submarine officer when I got out, but I just never got a chance to figure out what it was I wanted to do as far as an engineering degree. Now I'm too old.
Yeah. Well, and listen, you're never
stuff, but
you're never. Well, yeah. I mean, at this point, you and I were aged out to go back in. Which honestly, there have been times where I've been like, "Oh, fuck," but at the same time, then it's like, well, but they'd reject me for my back anyways.
Requirements for SEALs. That is a little bit more difficult to answer, even with their.
On the enlisted side, I actually dealt with this because when I went through basic training, we had a couple guys interested, and I was a division yeoman, so I actually had to make sure their shit was straight before they could even go.
Right.
You have to be eligible for top secret clearance from the get-go, which for a lot of technical rates, you're going to have that requirement anyways. You are going to have to score in the top 3% of the physical readiness standards across the board. Not like just overall score in the top 3%. Each individual one, you will have to be in the top tier for physical readiness standards to be considered. And then they actually do put you through a ringer to...
Hey, look what I found.
Yeah, essentially, there you go. Yep, pass the physical exam for divers. Yep, eligible for security clearance. The 28 years of age or younger has actually become a soft requirement for all new enlisted.
And I'm sure it's I'm sure it's like most other programs in the Navy now, where it's like they want to hard limit it, but at the same time, if you can meet everything, no problem, they'll make waivers for you. So
on certain things,
yeah, not everything, but
yeah. But the thing is, they start the mental aspect of your evaluation as soon as you go for that initial screening in Great Lakes, because there are some people who will be accepted for it, and they'll actually go through basic training, go out, go do buds, then go to an A school. Actually, at the time, early 2000, you would then go to the A school to pick up your rate that you would never work in. But now that they actually made an a let's see, they made the SWIC operator enlisted rating.
Yeah.
EOD, they've actually finally made enlisted ratings specifically for the special warfare groups. So you would end up going through a combination Buds A school for that.
Yeah. I actually have a friend that was an Aiginger on the sub that became SWIC. So
yeah, we had an AT in my shop in Japan who, instead of going for AT3, went for Gunner's Mate, got it, and it did it as a contingent on going for SWIC and EOD. He put in for both. Oh, SWIC is the Special Warfare combat craft.
They're like your if you were talking about Vietnam, they're like your river.
Yeah, the river
patrol.
boats.
Yeah.
So they work with SEALs a lot, but they don't do a lot of the more advanced stuff that SEALs do. So you're still getting the combat training, you're still frontline, you're still weapons trained and qualled. You are still loosely connected to JSOC, but you are not part of a SEAL team. You have your own dev group.
Yeah, SWIC's not a bad idea. If you, I have like I said, I have a friend who was Aiginger. They're the basically like overall just mechanics of the submarine, or actually any ship really, in general. And he shot well because I mean he grew up in Texas and learned to shoot. But
got a funny story about that after.
Oh yeah, no, I got plenty of those too. But he went to C school, which is the next step after A school, and doing a shore tour or a C tour, and potentially a shore tour before you go back to C school. C school is more advanced training in your job field. So let me pull that up. I'm sure it's pretty much at least the basic secret clearance, but sometimes with some of the missions they do require a higher top secret clearance or higher than top secret.
Let's put it this way. The majority of jobs in the Navy, you do have a requirement for at least a secret security clearance.
Yep. Here we go.
Eligible for security clearance. They're not telling you what level because it really depends on what you're doing. So that's where, like I actually was eligible for top secret. And while I was on the ship, it was active. Otherwise, when I was at a shore station, I was only required to have a secret, which was one step below.
Yep. And same for me. My job as a navigation electronics technician on a ballistic missile submarine required me to have a top secret SCI clearance, which is a step above top secret. And when I was at when I would be in the off crew phase and I was doing training, my security clearance actually brought me down below to a secret at that point. I was not able to handle any top secret material unless I had a need to know. So, and that's just the truth. That's just the truth about security clearances, anyways, is that you have to have the need to know, not just have the clearance. So,
yep. Yeah, it has to be applicable to what you're doing. Like the reason why mine, it might have been an SCI. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was definitely TS. It was definitely a top secret while I was on the boat, because I won't say what system it was, but there is one of the systems that we worked on could remotely gain access of an aircraft where the pilot was in physical distress and bring it back to the carrier safely.
Right. That's a good safety measure to have.
Yeah, and the reason why it has such a high clearance attached to it isn't because of what it does. Because
used against,
well, not even that. The reason why are the frequency band that it operates in. That's the classified part. Because in there you can't do frequency hopping like you can on a regular voice communication string.
Yeah.
like the half quick system. That is confidential, not classified
Here
at
you go,
this
Jared.
point. Oh God.
I thought you liked the description though.
Data gathering, huh? Imagine that. Oh, well, collaborating with the meteorologists, meaning you're not one.
Exactly. I almost when was it 2006, 2007, I was watching a documentary about one of our carriers going down through the Straits of Magellan just south of Argentina there, you know.
Mhm.
I was like, huh. I
The
wouldn't
Reagan
mind-
did that.
I think that's yeah, I was like, I think that was the one. I was like, maybe I could go re-enlist, shed some weight, go re-enlist and become an air graphickers mate. No, I would just much rather go be a ICman or a quartermaster at that point. All right, so doing all this research and trying to help you figure out what you want to do resist, you made me think about what are the qualification requirements for my job. Oh, ah. I was hoping it had the ASVAB requirements here because a lot of the other ones did. That sucks, but it's fun. I
Wait,
enjoy.
is this actually under the nuke one?
No, this is the submarine, just basic electronics, submarine
Oh,
electronic careers.
okay. Yeah. The reason why is because there is variables to the actual
Oh
different
yeah,
areas. And because this is a more general, broad overview of that, because they can make you an EM, they can make you an ET.
right.
They
Well, not this one. This one is actually just FT like
okay.
Techatron, STS, and electronic and ET
Yeah. Yeah.
art radio and all that.
Okay. Yeah, because the subs don't do EMs anymore. That's right.
Only as a new
Yep.
EMs.
Yeah. But
Gotta remember.
which falls under the nuke part of it.
Yep.
Which here's the thing, nuke school.
Oh,
What would get in the way of security clearances?
parking tickets, accidents that aren't cleared and resolved, any debt, like if you owe money to anybody, like credit cards or
Only if it's deemed a high amount. Like if
exactly.
it there is some give and take on the debt aspect to it, but they can also be stupid about that.
They also have programs that work that when if you're first joining the Navy and you have debt that could get in the way, they can help get you into a structured payment plan
Mhm.
that can allow you to get your clearance at that point.
Yeah. One of the things the biggest thing coming. Well, wait. How old is Resist? Like, is coming out of high school?
That's what I'm assuming. I don't know. I haven't actually asked. Mainly
Yeah. Let us know the situation, Resist. Like, have you been out of high school for a few years, or like what's that bit? Because there are nuances.
Okay, that's kind of what I was assuming with the
number in the name, but
yeah,
can't always go by that.
no.
So coming out of high school, your security clearance should be very easy to get as long as you don't have anyone closely connected to you that the government would deem as a threat. Yeah.
Yep. I made the decision in about 2 weeks to join the Navy. My mom was not happy.
Well, I'd been thinking about it for a while. My dad knew I was thinking about it. And here's the thing. My dad so I was born in Virginia. My dad was stationed on, oh God, what boat was that? I want to say he was
a fast boat.
No.
Boomer?
This was, like I said, this was 83 when I was born.
Yeah.
They had boomers in the Norfolk area.
That makes sense.
He was at the time he was on one of the 41 for Freedom.
Right, because the Ohio and the Michigan were just getting launched and commissioned.
Yep. So I can't remember if my dad was on this transferring off the Stimson or the Grant, but it was one of those two. And we went outside of Detroit, Michigan, so he could do recruiting duty. And when I let him know that I was considering joining the military, just wasn't sure what branch, he said, okay, if you have any questions, I'm here, but go find out on your own.
Yeah, that's how I approached it. Um, not like I'm really doxing myself, but in Aberdeen at the time when I was looking, we have a mall, and I think we discussed it when we were talking about like kind of where we were a couple weeks ago using Google Earth.
Yeah.
The mall on the south side of the town is on a swamp and it's all rolling. Well, just before you get into just after the entrance to the food court from the main entrance area, that's where we had our recruiter offices. As you're walking towards the food court, you had first up on the right was the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
First up on the left was the Air Force. And then the next one after on the right was the Army. And then right next door to the Air Force was the Marines. And I just loved it because I was like, I know I'm not going to go Marines because I don't want to go be shot at. That kind of excludes the Army. But I'll at least talk to the Army guy and find out what I like, what I could do there. Then I went to the Air Force. And because I have family members that were in the Navy, I chose that last just because I kind of knew what to expect. But after sitting down with my recruiter who was an FC2, yeah, fire controlman, Needham, he was known around town as being a
idiot.
Yeah, an idiot that thought he was a ladies' man.
Oh, one of those. Okay.
Yeah, you know those recruiters, right?
Yep.
Anyways. I literally spent probably about 2 hours talking with him, did my practice ASVAB, and he's like, oh, you're going to go nuke program, right? Because I scored pretty high. And I was like, no. But I will go into a computer field, computer electronics field. I've always loved messing with things. I'm actually, like I sent you that Excel spreadsheet of the PC parts thing. I'm looking at getting back into building computers again.
Oh yeah, you sent that, and also the rig that you use for your audio mixing, where most of us that do Hangouts and everything that can do AV, we're using a virtual mixing board. But well, no. Honestly, my reason is limited desk space.
No, I understand entirely.
Trust me,
the board I want.
I would have preferred an actual hard physical board to play with. And because then what I could do is actually just pull your guys' volume slowly down and fuck with you.
Oh yeah, I could do that, but the problem with it is because I'm not having you feedback into the live stream. Do any juvenile? Well, it depends on what the actual offense is, without trying to pry too much into your personal life. As long as it's not something like that would be considered a felony amongst the adult world, I would think that it shouldn't be too much of an issue.
And also it depends on how long it's been. If the issue was resolved and remediated years ago, and then you've shown not even being closely related to that sort of behavior again, that bodes better for you. Without getting into the specifics of it, something like that will come up during a government query check, the Court of Records inquiry. That is the kind of stuff to be upfront about, no matter what the fuck your recruiter says. If they ask about these certain things, if you have a history of within the last X number of years, say it.
Put it down.
Do not try to hide it, because when they go to look, if they find it and you didn't let them know beforehand, you are fucked.
As long as you haven't been having any issues since then, I don't see a problem with this, at least from my perspective. And if you've distanced yourself from the people that got you into that situation, or that helped get you into that situation, and get your teachers that really like you to write letters of recommendation, that probably wouldn't help either. Or at least have that letter ready to go for when they get asked.
All right, so yeah, from my time as a career counselor, we didn't really touch on the recruiting specifics. But yeah, if it's been 4 years, they are still going to raise an eyebrow at it, but it was 4 years ago at the beginning of high school. They're going to take it with a grain of salt kind of thing. It's one of those, well, he's had issues before, but let's see. He's done absolutely nothing since. And again, if it like Jay was just saying, if it was something group related and you are no longer with that group, that is a positive on the screening process for enlistment. How it affects the security clearance is the question, because the people who do that don't even talk to you. As a matter of fact, the only time they will reach out to you is if there's additional information that they need. Mm-hmm. That's it. And I know that I know that because after I got out, my security clearance actually went inactive for a while.
Mine's been inactive for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, after a while, it falls off.
No, I know. It's technically still active until you reach the end of your 8 years, or whenever whenever you were up for renewal, whichever comes first.
Yeah, 7 years or the end of your contract. And with me, it was a couple years between when mine fell off and when I had to reapply for it because of the job I have now. Because I'm a contractor with the TSA now.
Okay. So here's the thing. You say you're planning to go through college and then into the Navy? Is that what I'm understanding here?
Well, yeah, that's a question. It's like, do you want to hurry up and get out of the house by going in the military? Because you can be active enlisted and still do college courses. I actually got my first 2 degrees while I was active duty enlisted.
Yeah, being on a submarine, not so easy to do correspondence.
No. Well, I also lucked out by being shore duty my first station. And this is where I say, choose your rate, choose your fate.
Exactly. So, I mean, let's see here. Where did I see it? I think they have... I mean, like, look at this. They have biochemistry careers for the medical field. They have medical technology careers. I mean, there's a whole lot that you can study in college. Looking at this and this is officer, so I mean, you can become similar to Croco Squirrel. Although I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It all depends.
But I mean, you have here EOD, and just so you know, when it comes to BUD, I don't know if BUDS includes officers or not, but the program that they would do is going to be just as equally hard and demanding, if not more so.
If I remember right, the BUDS classes are mixed, enlisted and officer for the candidates. Because while rank has its certain things, you'll be on a mission and you could have a chief in charge, but still have an officer there.
Yeah, but it depends on the experience, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so when you go through a BUDS class, the issue becomes like you'll have a mix of people who are already rated with fleet experience coming in to do it. You'll have kids straight from boot camp trying to do it, and you'll have officer types coming through, and they all funnel through the same pipeline. They come through, they do BUDS, and then they're divvied up between SEAL Team, EOD, and SWEC, if I remember right.
Yeah,
it's definitely SEALs and EOD definitely go through BUDS. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if they had SWIC do their own or if they were part of it and then divided off.
Actually, it's still listed as officer. So, I mean, there are plenty of opportunities, plenty of jobs that you can go to school for, and the Navy will help pay for it. That's what I'm trying. let me see if I can find that college program I was thinking of.
Yeah. So getting your college done through the military. Let's just stick with just Navy side for right now. There are multiple ways to do. They still have the Stay 21 program, which means you go enlisted, you start college while you're in, but then you apply and you end up going ROTC, but you're still active enlisted.
This is the one I was thinking of, the Navy, the NUPOC program.
Oh, NUPOC.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. It enables you to join both the Navy and one of the top nuclear programs. You get scholarship money to pay for your degree and provide you a regular monthly income while you're still in school. And here, let me pull this up specifically here. Oh, they don't give you all the information, I think. Civil engineer collegiate program. Here you go. But like if you want to get into the physics and the sciences side of things, this is a good program to start with. Because you get they give you E5 pay while you're going to school.
Yep.
I had to work to get to that. Well, Jared saw my edited DD214, but yeah. I did it in about 4 years from start to finish.
Yeah, and this is another thing about if you go enlisted and choosing your rate. I went avionics, and at the time, the advancement was conducive for me making E4 at 2 years and making E5 at 3.5.
I'm sorry. The E5 pay is basically the middle pay of the enlisted pay side, the enlisted pay scale.
Actually, go ahead and pull up the pay scale. We'll show him how it works so he can understand that side, what he's getting into. Because so the way the pay grades work, the base pay is the same for all military branches across the board. Your lowest is E1 on the enlisted side, and then it goes up to E9. Your officers go O1 to O10, but there's also a little quirk at the low end. If you do 4 years enlisted, then become an officer, you actually have a slightly higher base pay than your academy or ROTC compatriots.
Yes. And that's what I kind of wanted to look forward to. All right, so here you have it always starts out with the officers because they're special. But this is the section he's talking about, the O1, O2, O3.
03.
This little asterisk. This is the prior enlisted group. So they get recognized for their service already. But currently the E5 pay is $23.33 a month before taxes. That's just the base pay for starting out.
Wait, and that's 2 years or less. So that in that program, that's where you would be at. God, the pay has not gone up all that much.
No, it hasn't. No ads. Gotta love ads. All right,
dude, ad blocker.
I'm using Firefox right now. I don't care.
Okay, that makes sense then.
When I want to go troll Nathan or any of those guys, I go incognito. Don't worry.
Oh, okay, that works too. But so you can see here where there are certain pay grades that it is completely unrealistic to be in such a short time period. Like, I don't even know why they have an E7 at 2 years and below.
I don't either.
I think the fastest you could conceivably make E7 is 6 years.
That sounds about right. Let's see if they got the incentive pays down here too. Yeah, now we're getting into Rickover era.
Yeah, good luck being in that long now.
Oh yeah, he ruined that for everybody. Oh, let's see here.
All right, you got some here. scroll
Yeah.
up a little bit. Well, okay. So up here, they're talking about caps, like how much you can make.
Yeah.
But the biggest ones are down at the bottom. 4 and 5. So the tax exclusion, there are certain areas where you don't have taxes withheld for your time in that period. But again, they've adjusted the requirements for that since we've been out. If you decide to go through one of the service academies, which I'll be honest, while not impossible, that juvenile issue you had 4 years ago would most likely disqualify you. Not guaranteed, but more than likely. But even then, as a midshipman, you would be going to school like a regular student at the Naval Academy in Maryland. You would have the additional military training on top of the school stuff. And yes, you would be getting paid while there. As you can see here, not much, but you still would be getting paid, and you would not have to pay anything for school.
Yep. Well, provided you complete so many years of an officer enlistment.
Yeah. Well, while you're going, you won't have to pay. If you decide, you know what, this military shit is bunk, but I'm going to finish my degree and then go do my own thing, then you would owe. But if you do commit to a term of service, no payment. But yeah, there are all sorts of added on pays you can get. Even
my favorite one.
Oh, the sub duty one.
Yeah. Let's see where would I be at right now. Let's see. I did it in 4, so 3 to 4.
Yeah, take a look at over 3. Yeah, 155 at first, up to 250. That's about what my sea kicker was, because I had over a year consecutive.
Oh, I hate the health professionals.
Oh God, yeah. But here's the thing: most of them did their schooling outside of the services, so they actually have shit to pay off. So that's why they do it.
No, I totally get it. Do you think they would have the CPay chart here?
Scroll up. It's going to be up here. So stop. BAH rates are dependent on location and if you're even allowed to live off base. Good luck. Critical skills, drill pay. Monthly career CPay. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Let's see. That was the beauty of it, having the CPay. All right. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, okay. That's looking at the wrong one. So 3 to 4.
Yep.
Oh, not bad.
No. And you do, at the time I was in, once you hit 12 months consecutive sea time, which means being stationed actually on the deck plate of the ship.
Yeah.
You get a kicker on top of that.
Yep.
At least while I was in. On the other side, what I've always wanted to do since I was little, I wanted to fight. What are the best jobs for that, considering my situation? All right. For
obviously
frontline combat, Marine Corps, everyone is a rifleman. Like even the aviation units that I worked with and went to school with, they all did their AIT, their advanced infantry training, before they came to A school. And in order to make E5, E6, and E7, you have to do a certain amount of time as a rifleman, as part of an infantry battalion in the Marine Corps. It's part of the points that go towards advancement.
Sure.
So on the Navy side of it, you're looking, see right there, that SWIC right there.
Construction also is, because they can be on the front lines fairly quickly too.
Yep, and they have to be able to defend themselves.
Crypto, IS,
not so much the crypto stuff, because honestly, you're going to be generally at an Air Force base somewhere working with the overall
EOD, obviously.
mission. Yeah, EOD. I mean, on the Navy side, if that's really what you think you want to do, your special warfare groups, your SWIC, your EOD, your SEALs. If another way that you would be in that situation on the Navy side, corpsman and go Fleet Marine Force, where you'll be the combat medic with a fire team.
Yeah, I will tell you this because my nephew just literally 2 years ago tried to get into the Navy active and ended up going reserve to become a corpsman, and he wanted to do Fleet Marine Forces. Mm-hmm. He had to almost get a letter of recommendation from his congressman just to get them to allow him to go to Corpsman A school. That wasn't even to get Fleet Marine Forces.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's the thing is corpsman has historically been the most overmanned rate.
Mm-hmm. Trying to find it on here.
And when I was on the Kitty Hawk, we had a Golden Crow 3rd class corpsman. That means he had 12 years in.
Yeah.
Consecutive with no disciplinary actions, and he was only an E4. It is not uncommon for corpsmen to take a long time.
Exactly.
Would I even be considered for SEALs?
You could be.
It all depends on the security clearance. If you have the security clearance, despite the juvenile issue, because of how long it's been, and depending on what it was, if you're eligible for the security clearance, then yeah, you would have a shot at going SEAL.
Yeah.
Your other option would be, I would say Marines over Army, because they have their own fucked up games that they play with their people, but they don't.
Yeah, let's see if I can pull.
They don't. They tend not to dick around too much with deployments and all of that shit. But the Marines do have a higher standard just for basic entry than the Army does.
Yeah. I mean, here's the enlisted path for the Marines. Let's see here. Ability to meet the highest standards of moral, mental, and physical strength, completing the ASVABs and fitness tests. I would definitely recommend talking to a recruiter for the Marines, if for nothing else, to find out.
Yep.
If you want to do the officer, again, it's going to be basically the same requirements. But I mean, here you go. Platoon leader classes, 17. Age to apply is 17 to 28 years old. This is officer candidate school. Now, here's another thing, both with the Navy and any branch of service, is almost all of them have what's called an officer candidate school, where they take college people that didn't go through ROTC or through the academies to become officers. So, just as a thought, if you want to go get go get a scientific degree or anything like that. So,
well, and another thing with the OCS stuff, your prior enlisted go through the OCS as well.
Yep.
So to actually be commissioned, you either go through a service academy, and then upon graduation with your actual agreement to serve, on graduation, you are commissioned as an 01 into that branch, which the Navy and Marine Corps primary service academy is the Naval Academy. It's just that throughout the process, through your time there, you'll have your chance to choose, do you want to be a Marine or do you want to go Navy? And your degree will play a factor in that as well.
Yeah. This is my favorite one, was the program, the
direct commissioning.
The direct commissioning, because you go to OCS for like a weekend or something like that.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, and that's the thing. This is mainly for people who
CWOs and stuff like that.
Yeah, your LDO. They call it limited duty officers. So like that was one of the programs I was considering. The problem is you have to get up to E6, you have to be board eligible for E7, which means you pass the chief's exam. Whether or not you make board doesn't matter. You just have to pass the exam, because you can pass the exam and not be board eligible due to the number of slots.
Exactly.
And then you'd go through that truncated school and be you'd be a junior officer, but you would be limited on where and what you would be stationed for, because it would be tied into your prior enlisted experience.
And almost no option of command at all.
Exactly. You would career out at lieutenant commander.
Yeah.
At, what was that, 04?
Yeah, that's 04.
Yeah.
What was I thinking about? I was actually thinking about going to OCS at one point too. But things just didn't happen out. But the beauty about OCS is it is pretty much just officer boot camp.
Yep.
But it's not Naval OCS is just like the Naval Academy, is that it is ran by both naval officers, naval enlisted, as well as Marine Corps officers and Marine Corps enlisted. So keep in mind that you will have not only an RDC, a recruit division commander from naval boot camp, you'll also have a drill instructor. I've actually watched some of their videos. I want to say it was where they had a OCS like it must be like the frequently asked questions or something like that.
Oh, they have a lot of OCS videos on YouTube as well.
But it's pretty.
It's interesting. So the difference between OCS and one of the academy schools is the academy schools, you're getting the same stuff from the OCS at the same time mixed in that you're doing your degree work. OCS is designed for you have finished your degree, so you only need the military specific stuff. And that's where the OCS classes are. BUD/S is a few months.
13 weeks, I think it is, or something like that.
I want to say it's longer than that. It's essentially a second boot camp.
Yeah, no, I know.
All right, so SEAL, it's a year. So BUD/S, which is the first bit, is a few months. Then you go to jump school, which is another few months. Then you do the actual SEAL qualification if you go that way, which is another month.
Yeah.
No, a month or a month and a half. It's 4 to 6 weeks. And then your pre-deployment training, that's what they call green team. That's a year and a half of essentially being every SEAL team's bitch and being randomly picked and seeing how you react.
Yep.
Which this is so Resist. If you watch the show SEAL Team that's been on TV this past season, there are a lot of things that are accurate. Yes, they dramatize the fuck of it, but a lot of the basics of how they operate between an active SEAL team and the green team, that stuff is accurate. That is how it works. They need a body for this mission, and they don't have a medically cleared regular team member to go with them. They'll pull from the green team, and they also use the green team as random fill-ins to see how they work. And then throughout to go from green team to a regular team, it is still fucking old school. They put your picture up on a board, and everyone who's on the actual SEAL team gets a vote. Yes, a check mark for yes, X for no. You never know who did or didn't vote for you, but that's how they figure when the positions are there to bring in someone off the green team onto a SEAL team full time. That's how they do it. because they have to see how you operate. Do you work with the team? Can they trust you?
Here you go, Jared. I thought you liked this highlighted section.
Yeah.
Nerd humor. You gotta love it. So, and again, the biggest thing about any of the branches of service, if you choose to go, is don't miss out on an opportunity for any sort of journeyman program. If you get into an electronics field, do the journeyman side of the journeyman training, like documentation. What is that program called now that I think about it?
Oh God, I can't remember, but I know I did it. I didn't get my full journeyman because I ended up becoming a supervisor too quick, so I couldn't get the hours.
Yeah.
And that is a downfall to quick advancement is those programs. Like me as a supervisor, I wasn't in work on the maintenance action forms, so I couldn't document the time for my journeyman, even though I was supervising and I was making sure that they were doing shit right.
Yeah.
Well, granted, all that time I spent as one looks great on my resume for supervisory experience and also QA experience, but it didn't help the journeyman at all. It's like, fuck.
Training advancement. Maybe that's what it's at.
No,
cool.
it's gonna. Oh God, cool. That was
after me. I'll take it and leave it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically when it comes to figuring out a job in any sort of military, whether it's enlisted or officer, choose your rate, choose your fate is probably the words to live by, or I don't know if they have one for MOS, but basically
it's essentially the same thing. Here is the difference though between the branches, and decide what matters to you most. Is it quality of life? Is it the potential for advancement, or is it job specific? If it's job specific, the Navy has a plus because when you sign your contract agreeing to enlist, you can pick your rate. You can pick your specialty on the enlisted side right then.
Mm-hmm.
And it is on you whether or not you get through it. All the other branches, you sign, you can put in a dream sheet, but you won't know what you're getting till you get there.
Now there is a caveat to that. If you do any of the Navy Advanced Electronic Computer Fields, ACF or SECF,
yep.
They are basically you're throwing your lot into some sort of technician school. So like on the submarine side, I had to pick between ET Nav, ET Com, FT ST in that order, like what order I would prefer to do those. And then whatever A schools came available to me after basic enlisted sub school, whichever ones were classing up, they would kind of pick.
You would get, yeah.
The Navy would still pick, but you knew what you were going into.
But yeah, you would still be in a general field. Like when I joined, I wanted the intermediate level. I wanted the advanced level of aviation electronics technician, AT. But the way that training platform still works is you go through basic training, then you have 8 weeks of what's called Common Core, which is basic AC/DC theory, basic aircraft systems and characteristics of flight, just very high overview, basic fundamentals that are applicable to the AT rate, both advanced level, which is your box repair, and your squadron level guys. And also your AE, your aviation, your aviation electrician's mate. Those 3 rates all had the same first 2 months of school.
Yep.
So coming out of basic training, you were in that pipeline. What you classed up as when I got to Pensacola is the initial step to determine where are you slotted. Because at the time, there were 2 separate schoolhouses. The ATs were in one building, the AEs were in another one down by the water, because they actually had a dead bird to play with for part of their practicals down at that building. I was lucky enough that I went to the AT schoolhouse right away. As we were finishing core, the top 2, green side and blue side, Marines and Navy, got to pick what one of the 3 they wanted to be in. My class was already slated for I level, for the advanced level. So I said, nope, I'm happy here. So I lucked out, but because I made sure that my test scores were there, had my class been slated O level, I would have jumped ship to I level right then.
Yeah. For me specifically, when I was in A school, because I didn't, unlike most of the Navy, the submarine fleet, you have to go to basic enlisted sub school first, with the exception of the nuke program. That's entirely different. But you have to go to basic enlisted sub school first, then you go to your A school. And our A school, even though all the electronic rates are basically the same to start with, your basic AC/DC theories, things like that, pure charts, Perry charts, whatever they call them.
Mm-hmm.
You learn all of that, and then you go and then it breaks down into, specifically for the NavET job, it breaks down from there into the quartermaster, which is the plotting and knowing how to navigate a ship, and then onto the rest of the ET side of things, which is the gyroscopes. Because in the basic electronics theory and electricity section of it, that's dealing with more of your interior communication side of things. Your basic electricity. That IC-men are basically the non-electrician electricians, basically.
Oh yeah, they deal with communication stuff. So they're dealing with all low voltage. Being an ET, or in my case an AT, we were dealing with low voltage, high voltage, transmitting, non-transmitting, all levels of it.
And so were we as ETs, because that not only were we dealing with the sound powered telephone system, the electrified amplified circuits of the MC systems, we were also dealing with the radars and the waveguides. We were also dealing with the gyroscopes, the inertial navigators. I hate to plug Globebusters here, but when they bought their gyroscope, that is I don't want to say a dumbed down version of what I worked with.
Simplified.
More simplified version of what I worked with. Although I didn't actually get trained on ring laser gyros. I knew enough about the theory and what they did that when it came time for my advancement exams, it was pretty easy to knock that out. Stupid high advancement exam tests didn't get me the orders I wanted.
Agreed.
Definitely agreed. But yeah, part of the choose your rate, choose your fate thing on the enlisted side is that when it comes time for your orders, don't be afraid to shine. Don't be afraid to take
the hard position.
Take the hard work, take the hard positions, because that'll look good on your evals. It'll help your advancement scores, even if you don't test well. But my one caution is that if you really have a dream spot you want to go and you score high enough, especially on the knowledge side of things, your detailer, the person who cuts your orders for your next duty station, is 9 times out of 10, from what my experience, is going to try and cut you orders to go teach either A school or C school. Yep. And while I would love to teach, I do love teaching people things. I didn't want to do that right then and there at that point in time.
Well, yeah, it's like
otherwise I'd probably still be in. I'd be on year 19 going on 20.
You know what? And had I stayed in, I would have done at least a couple years as an instructor, and I would have had to actually get a waiver because I have a couple tattoos that are below my elbow. Mm-hmm. But I got mine prior to them making that a requirement.
Right.
And because I actually had medical document them as soon as I got them, they see, oh, you got them these dates. This change took effect here. Let's see what they are. Oh, they're just the nautical stars and proper orientation on the inside of your forearms. Okay, I was waiver eligible for special duties because of that.
Yeah. I didn't have any tattoos, but I think even now, if I had gotten this tattoo while I was in, I would still be waiver eligible because it's on my calf. And most of the time, as an instructor, I don't think I would have been eligible for RDC duty, but I would have been eligible for other special duties as instructors.
No, your legs, you're actually fine because the requirements still are no tattoos visible in the short sleeve working uniforms.
There, I was thinking more of like doing the PT, setting the standard though for the PT side of things too. So,
well, that's where what is the tattoo would come into play because I have one on my lower
submarine
left
dolphins,
leg.
Submarine dolphins with the phrase underneath "We're all mad here." An apt description of the submarine fleet.
All right, yeah, you're towing the line on that one. You get bonus points for the dolphins. The whole "we're all mad here." It would come down to the person processing the waiver, but you'll probably get approved. Mine is a koi fish swimming against the stream. I'm symbolizing persistence and strength. Yeah. So mine would have been approved off the bat. But again, it wouldn't have even been an issue for recruiting or instructor because they're definitely most stringent on those waivers for drill instructors and RDCs. Yeah, because they want you to be like the pinnacle, the pinnacle, the image of what the Navy is going for its people. But with me, I enjoyed, if I were to do instructor duty, had I stayed in, I would have preferred to do a C school instructor instead of A school.
That's what they wanted me to do, actually. They wanted me to go to C school, learn C school, and then turn around and teach C school. That's how well I tested on my advancement exams.
Yeah. Oh, I was always high 90s percentile on my test score. So it was, each time I advanced, it was first increment. And I tested 4 times. Test, and I would P&A, missing it by like fractions of a point, then blow it out of the water. Missed second by fractions of a point, then I blew it out of the water. Yeah. What kept my final score so low was how quickly I was advancing. I didn't have the time and rate compared to other people.
Right. And eventually that catches up to you when it comes to like Chief, because sometimes they see you as a hot runner and then they're like, nope, you're probably just, cheesing things.
Yeah.
Well, up.
Well, but here's the thing. There were marks on my evals where it says could be better in communication to peers and superiors.
Yeah.
So that could have gone either way for me because it shows that, no, I know my shit. And not just do I know it, I have the confidence in what I know to share it with others of any pay grade. It's just some people took better to it than others. And that's where, if it wasn't for my fucking branch chief on the Kitty Hawk, every other khaki in my department loved dealing with me except this asshole.
Oh yeah. No, I buddied with some of the chiefs, not like to the point, we're going out on the town when we hit ports or anything.
Oh,
but
no.
But underway, it's like, I actually had one, there's one guy in the A gang division that him and I just never saw eye to eye. And he basically stole a girl I was trying to date at the time. But when it came to duty and stuff, him and I always were just like, that's water under the bridge for the 6 hours we're standing watch,
Yeah.
But his chief loved me. I mean, he loved his guy, don't get me wrong. But if I ever had a problem and my chief wasn't around, I just call up, what was his name? Chief Elderberry, something like that. But he was such a great guy. But no, if me and his guy saw each other on the street, we just walked away. We didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
But
and I think that's the biggest thing that
any branch of the service teaches you anyways.
Yeah. Every branch teaches that there's time for like, you don't have to like the person you're with as long as you can work together to do it. Because here's the thing, that is actually part of boot camp. And that's part of why I say, if you have a chance to start out enlisted and then become an officer, I recommend it, because you're going to better know how to handle being an officer and having the division behind you.
Exactly.
Because that's the thing. They're not under you. They are following you. They are behind you. They are also what makes you look better.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of officers that come from ROTC and the academy, they don't understand that right away. And it takes them a good while to get that. But once the ones that do, those are your like career officers that make, captain and admiral fairly easily. Also, Resist, I put in a link here for some old Navy electronics and electricity training documents.
The NEATS mods.
This is the 1998 series, so the year before I joined the Navy, but it's still a good foundation to help. Like, even if you have any issue with any sort of electronics or electricity theory, check it out. Study that. It's worth it. Even if you don't do anything with the military until after you're out of college, it's a great piece of information.
There's even the BMR from 02. My first BMR is on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even look.
I'm scrolling up and taking a look. ATI 1 O level. Yeah, no, that's from 93. No wonder why. Who the fuck is calling me on Discord? Oh, okay.
Who is it, Red?
No, Red doesn't use Discord. It was something else that I started earlier today that I need to go catch up on. But hey, you know what? Resist. I'm going to text in the chat. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me through my channel. I have an email in the description of all of my shows. And dude, Friday nights, come over to my channel. Jay is there with me, along with a bunch of others. Right now, we don't have a topic set for this week's show as of yet. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do something. If you have a mic and if you want to come and actually ask us questions about certain aspects, because we have guys from different branches and different specialties there, I will bring you on the panel and you can ask your questions to the entire panel on certain aspects and get it straight from the horse's mouth of people who did certain jobs. Because we have Nukes, we have myself, we have Jay, we have all these others. Potential avenues, and also we the last couple of weeks I've gotten Dragnot and a couple other Army guys on there too, so it will be a great source of information for you.
It's Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I just sent you my personal email, the one that I use for my YouTube channel here. Feel free to hit me up if you have questions, and if there's something that I can answer, I can get in contact with Jared or other people and get the answers to that, and hopefully get back to you. I'm also going to get in contact with I got some recruiters out here that I can get in contact with as well, that at the very least they can give me some information as well, some general information. Now I got to go finish my homework. This isn't fair.
But and here's the thing, Resist. You want the type of person you want to talk to. I play foot. Oh yeah, Friday night football.
Oh yeah.
All right. You know what? Special show, Jay.
Yeah.
Tell you what, Resist. Maybe not this week because it's kind of short notice. Pick a weeknight next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. and I know you'll have practice schedule. Let us know what works for you, and we will schedule a special show. That way, if anyone else who may be considering joining has questions, they can hear your questions and get the answers from the panel as well. We'll do a show dedicated for you and your questions on that aspect. How's that sound?
Yeah, just let us know. I mean, if nothing else, I can always I generally work at nights, but I can always, at least have it going on in the background, and I can answer questions as I hear them. So not quite as cool as Team Skeptic and be able to listen while customers are around, but and Team Skeptic's another good person to ask too. He was an ET in the Navy as well, but he was surface Navy. Yep. That managed to do shore duty the whole time. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Oh, he got lucky. Like I got lucky with shore duty, my first duty station out of A school, but then I ended up on the Kitty Hawk in Japan, so it kind of made up and balanced out in the end.
Yeah. Also, if you have any friends that, whether they play football or not, that are thinking about the military, male or female, whatever,
bring them along.
Bring them along. Let them know. Give them the link to Jared's channel. Because you said you subscribed last night when I was talking with you. But just invite them along, because I know they'll have questions, or at the very least get questions that they want, and then we can do the answers, and then you can give them the link to the show, and they can go back and watch it later at their convenience.
Yep.
The beauty of YouTube.
That it is. But yeah, so go ahead, take a look at your schedule, not for this week coming up, but next week. And then even if you have some questions, shoot them over to Jay. We'll take a look. And since it's going to be a non-regularly scheduled show, I'll be able to tailor the panel specifically to the type of questions. I'll just need about a week to make sure schedules line up. Actually, maybe then I can get my friend Ray from high school, who was a Marine, on there too, finally. Hopefully, well, actually, wait, let me be honest. I'm going to have to talk to his wife to get that shit to happen.
Yeah, you better get the proper clearances on that.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to be horrible, but you have to actually see this. This one's from Scientist Mel.
Oh, she has some good ones. So.
Oh, yeah. I got to find it now because I get them in. Oh, here we go. Notifications. That's what I was looking for. Sometimes my... Oh, I gotta share screen still, don't I? That's the hard part. I thought I was still sharing.
Oh no, dude! Trust me, I understand not being able to promise anything, but do what you can.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, maybe we can segment out a.
Oh, that is fucking punny.
Oh, that is great. And don't worry, I'll be saving that and throwing it up on the mess decks. But
awesome.
Maybe what we can do is maybe start planning out like like maybe a half hour, an hour of the show to just getting questions from local recruiters that maybe we can start passing around to the recruiters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, no, and that's the thing. I can go talk to the recruiters not far from me and let them know and go from there. So.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I might make you up some business cards just to hand out to the recruiters here in the area.
Okay, yeah, just go ahead and use. Actually, you know what? Don't use the avatar I have now. Peter is working on a new one.
Oh yeah,
that should be done any day now. So we'll take it from there. But I got to run.
Yep, no worries.
Again, resist any questions. Send them to either or both of us. They'll catch you later, man.
All right, resist. How's that sound? Getting together and doing this. I know you can't promise anything, like I said, but shoot me emails. Any questions that you have, any questions your friends have, more than willing to answer. I've got friends that are former Army that have recently got out within the last couple of years. So let me know. I'm more than willing to help get them involved. But I unfortunately have been slacking and I have homework to do. So, I'm going to have to bow out as well. So just copy down the email I linked up there for you. And I'll help you out, okay? It's just water, by the way. I haven't been dealing with the stupid today, so. No problem. I always like seeing people serve, especially those that aren't necessarily the conservative side of politics. Um, but just remember, a lot of people in the military do tend to fall on the conservative side, so don't outwardly make your political standards known right away. So, all right. With that, I'm going to actually end this live stream so I can go do my homework. And anytime you see me on a panel or in the chat of a video, if you have a question and you think of it, send it to me and I'll screenshot it at the very least so I can answer it later.